It's Monday, January the 30th, 2017, and this is your Barbados Today evening update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, former Deputy Prime Minister and long-standing MP for the city, Dame Billy Miller, is expressing serious concern that the Hyatt-centric resort will get permission to be built along Carlisle Bay. Speaking on brass tacks this morning, Dame Billy, who represented the city as a member of the Barbados Labour Party from 1976 to 2008, is particularly worried about the impact the multi-story project will have on a series of historic buildings in the vicinity, as well as the adjoining Browns Beach.
I fear that when the pile driving or whatever instruments will be used to make the foundation start to do their work, they are going to imperil all of the buildings to which I've just referred. My particular concern is Bethel Methodist Church. This church was consecrated in 1844, exactly 100 years before I was born, and I know it well. At high tide, it doesn't need for a hurricane or storm to be coming or for any particularly bad weather. At high tide, oftentimes, the well at the back of the church premises, in fact, there's a car park there, overflows at high tide. So what I'm saying is that the water level is very high there.
Dame Billy also said she would prefer the hotel be built elsewhere inland. Her concern also extends to the sewering of the hotel and its implications for the wider city.
The sewage coming into the Bridgetown plant at Lakes Folly is in severe, and I use that word deliberately, and it comes from the best sources, severe overload, and has been for many years. We've seen what happened at Worthing, and only in the very recent press I am seeing reference to the fact that the system on the south coast and that going into the Bridgetown search project is on the verge of collapse. The headline says on the brink of meltdown, and I know that there is a lot of truth in that. I am concerned about 250 rooms, at the very least, I'm sure. What proposals the Hyatt construction would have for the soaring and the heavy load from that hotel, what it would be implications for what would happen at Lakes Fall.
The Francis Stewart administration is being chided for not paying more serious attention to implementing updated dog control regulations. 2 days after 5 dogs, including pit bulls, attacked and killed 74-year-old Verona Gibson near her home at Monroe Road, Haggett Hall, St. Michael, veterinary inspector with the RSPCA, Wayne Norville, said government has failed to introduce proper laws to govern dogs. In fact, he tells Barbados Today government is not taking dog control regulations seriously.
I'll give you an example. We have a number of people who import dogs to Barbados, right? You would have the person who would import the dogs, but no knowledge of it. Nothing is said to the animal control thing. This person brought in 3 Akitas. This is the information on the dogs, nothing. So the animal control center almost says, we don't know. We don't know until something happens. You understand? So there's no cohesion between us and the government.
A medical student at the University of the West Indies has gone missing. He is 17-year-old Jehu Gaskin of Enterprise Christ Church, who disappeared from his residence on Sunday morning. His father reported to police that he last saw his son at home at around 8:30 a.m. Jehu Gaskin may be identified by his long black hair, thick eyebrows, and square shoulders. One of the island's most talented entertainers went to his final resting place this morning. Adrian Boo husbands got a fitting send-off during a moving church service at the New Dimensions Ministry on Barbers Hill, St. Michael, where there was not only an outpouring of tributes from grief-stricken family and friends, but tears as well. Husband's funeral ceremony started with a procession from Passage Road and climaxed at the nearby church. Among the more prominent persons present were Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson, Opposition Leader Mia Motley, representatives from the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, along with the who is who in local entertainment. The eulogy was delivered by the late veteran musician's son, Kyle Watts, who fondly remembered his father as a comic, but one who always knew when to give an uplifting word to someone.
He had the kind of personality that used to draw people in and keep them. He enjoyed good conversations, whether the conversation was trivial, or whatever, or serious. The more serious the conversations, he would engage himself in them type of conversations. He was the type of person that people brought their deepest problems to because of his compassionate disposition and how trusting he was. And he would always try to give practical advice, whether it was what the person wanted to hear or not. A common thing my mom would say when he given these pieces of advice over the phone, she would come and say, Dr. Phil on the phone again, don't always do.
In sports now, Andrew Russell is praying and hoping that the Independent Anti-Doping Tribunal does not ban him from missing out on filing his whereabouts on 3 occasions in 2015. The 3-member tribunal will deliver the verdict in Kingston tomorrow. If found guilty, Russell could face a maximum ban of up to 2 years under the World Anti-Doping Agency rules. Missing 3 tests in a 12-month period amounts to a failed dope test under the WADA guidelines.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25, $2.20. Who? For what? That's Bear Stale News. I don't read about that on Barbados today since last night. That can't only can't do. $2.20. Who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In regional news now, Caribbean-American Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke has warned that U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order barring entry to the U.S. for the predominantly Muslim nations of Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Syria, and Yemen may be extended to the Caribbean. Clarke, the daughter of Jamaican immigrants, said she was concerned that Trump could expand the order if the region did not organize and push back now. She told an emergency meeting of the Muslim community in her Brooklyn district on Sunday night that in the Caribbean region there was a very healthy Muslim population from Guyana to Trinidad to Jamaica across the board. In Trinidad, the headless body of a man is at this time occupying the attention of the Aruca police. Police say the body was found around 10 o'clock this morning. Reports are that the unidentified man was discovered with his wrist almost severed and clad only in his underwear. On the global front, thousands of people have joined protests in London and in cities around the UK against the controversial travel ban on 7 mainly Muslim countries imposed by US President Donald Trump. The ban bars citizens from Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. MPs were holding an emergency debate on the immigration measures. A petition calling for Prime Minister Theresa May to cancel Trump's planned state visit to the UK has been signed more than 1.4 million times.
He's only been in power for a week and a half or something like that, and he's already done one of the most racist things that any president has ever done in the entire history of American, and I just can't believe that somebody would actually have the nerve to just outright ban anybody for their country.
The United States is all the poorer for having him as their president. I feel sorry for those people there. And I'm glad that I'm living in Scotland and not in the United States at the moment.
It comes from a place of ignorance and prejudice. And if good people don't come out and say this is not acceptable and this is not what we're about, then silence is being complicit. So we need to say this is not okay.
So to make the point that refugees should be welcomed is indeed America and the rest of the world's legal obligation to welcome refugees. And as that speaker just said, if refugees are sent home, they will literally die. And that Donald Trump is making life worse rather than better for refugees is unforgivable.
And Canadian police have detained 2 men in connection to a deadly shooting at a mosque in Quebec City, Canada. One of the men is suspected in the attack on the Quebec Islamic Cultural Center that left 6 people dead and others wounded. A Muslim leader in the city says he's not surprised at the attack.
Sadly, we were shocked but not surprised. 100% of the mosques of Quebec City have been subject to hate events. Either they've been vandalized, they received hate messages, they received the head of a pig on front of the door for that specific mosques. Most of the people in the Muslim communities were totally in shock, but not that astonished. We didn't know when, we didn't know what, but we knew that a terrible act could happen at any time. The Muslim community in Quebec is very francophone, so it's a new immigration, but they're very well mixed with the other Quebecers. But we've seen groups of white supremacists, we've seen right-wing nationalists, we've seen also politicians that actually played on the fear of Quebecers to actually gain some votes.
And that's news and sports, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.